normally what we would do. And the employers and the parents were excited to be able to see this. So we are filming it, just so you guys know. This year is the first year that the district did work-based learning. It's a brand new initiative, and these amazing 5 people I had make me cry just looking at you guys. We spent so much time together. And, they were amazing. I always cry. So this was a team effort. Obviously, the administrative support, guidance support. Jan, you're the queen. You're on the work-based learning board, and as a board member on the work-based learning board, so thank you so much for everything, all the years of support. These guys are going to get up and present the highlights of their placements this year, and they all worked really hard. We obviously can't go through everything we did, but we have pictures to show you what we did. It was just an amazing experience for all of us. So without further ado, we'll start out with Nina Royer. Graduation to designate that we completed this program, and they have wonderful letters of recommendation from their employers in the back if you want to look at a sample to take with them for their careers.
Hi, my name is Nina Royer, and I've had the absolute pleasure of participating in the first year of work-based learning internship. I'm very excited to be attending Penn State University next year and intend on majoring in health policy administration with the intentions of attending medical school. I hope to have a future in pediatrics with the administrative and managerial background to be able to run my own practice. Due to COVID this year, it was not possible to work at a doctor's office, and since I have an interest in working with children, Mrs. New and I believed hands-on experience with students would be very helpful to my career. Unlike some of my fellow students, I rotated between placements approximately every month. I began with Miss Gilbert in the middle school and ended with Mrs. Stevens at Burton Street. Each and every experience was crucial to this learning opportunity, and I appreciate all of the teachers and administrators that made it possible. First, I'll start with Miss Gilbert. This was my first placement. The classroom was inclusive with multiple adults helping with specific students, as well as Elle and I figuring out how to navigate this new situation. During this time, I assisted students with extra explanations of topics such as division, and even made a scavenger hunt for their Halloween party. This first rotation prepared me for the rest I would go through. Next, Elle and I went to gym with Mr. Evans and Mr. Malmsheimer. During this time, the high school was online, so we adjusted our schedule. We helped with making a YouTube channel for them to post any educational videos for online students. During our time at home, Elle and I made a series of yoga videos that progressed in difficulty. We explained how yoga and meditation are both beneficial to help with mindfulness. Mr. Evans loved these videos so much, he decided to use them for sports teams as well, and now I think half of the school district has seen me do yoga in my bedroom.
It's so true.
The next rotation I did was with Mrs. Sevier. In this rotation, I had the opportunity to take more responsibility beyond the classroom. Due to COVID, Mrs. Sevier had a mixed classroom this year with both grade level and advanced students. I was able to make a GIM kit, which is a learning website that promotes quick thinking and engagement. I led this lesson in the boardroom in the middle school and participated in this activity. I provided an enrichment opportunity for the advanced kids to engage in a higher level of math and that forced them to think outside of their normal lessons. This placement gave me more freedom to explore classroom management and building relationships. Finally, for my classroom rotations, I was with Miss Minor. I found myself working very closely to specific students that needed extra support in the classroom, such as having their tests and assignments read to them or further explanations. During the time this year, the students were learning how to convert units of measurements. The student I was assisting had slight trouble understanding the methods taught in class, and I remember being in school and having the same troubles with the exact topic. I decided to teach her the way that made sense to me, and it worked for her. When the class began taking their test, I walked around and saw the student using the method I taught her. This is a specific memory during my entire placement that made me feel successful. My placement then shifted to shadowing members of the administration. Many of the administrators I assessed are here in this room, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to allow me to come and see what you do throughout the day. I'm very appreciative. My first administrative placement was with Mr. Nib. He began our time together by showing me the rubric used for teacher evaluations. He explained the methods he uses when watching teachers. After his explanations and our discussions, he took me into a seasoned teacher's classroom and exemplified an evaluation. Upon entering the classroom, it was clear the atmosphere didn't shift, even though an administrator had just entered. Mr. New explained the importance of fostering a good environment between staff and administration in order to execute their jobs seamlessly. My placement then shifted to shadowing members of the administration. Next, I was able to shadow Mrs. Getman-Herrickshaw, Mrs. Blanchard, and Mrs. Zeller. I started the day with Mrs. Getman-Herrickshaw, where she continued and added to Mr. New's statements of maintaining a good relationship throughout the school in order to promote trust and efficiency. When asked what she thinks the most important aspect of being an administrator is, she answered with being visible. She said this is the key to fostering a good environment throughout the school and demonstrates to students that she is a friendly face in the building. She acted upon this idea by taking me on one of her walk-arounds in the middle school. She greeted everyone she saw and asked how they were doing. Then, she had a meeting to attend, and I spent the rest of my time in the office with Mrs. Blanchard and Mrs. Zeller. During this time, they explained the ins and outs of their day, and I'm beyond impressed on how much of the school they manage on a daily basis. My next placement was with Mrs. Hagan. During our time together, she showed me her long to-do list and the actions she takes to get things done in a timely manner. She explained how it's very difficult to plan her day past 9 in the morning due to the spontaneous nature of the high school. We discussed the school's budget, scheduling issues, and databases used by the school district. She emphasized the importance of communication throughout the buildings and her assistance in finding solutions around the school. This experience was eye-opening to how much the administration does throughout the school and behind the scenes. I went to Burton Street in early March to shadow Mrs. May. This is Mrs. May's first year as principal, and we talked about the difficulties of the year due to COVID. In order to avoid constant shutdowns, classrooms are separated and students only interact with their classmates in their class throughout the day. Mapping out the playground has been a difficult task, and allocating monitors is important to children's safety. We talked about how the pandemic has impacted students' social and emotional well-being. The solutions, such as a mental health team and fun activities to engage students, has been crucial in this unusual year. Finally, we discussed how as an administrator, she deals with behavioral management. She explained the tactics she uses so students learn from their actions rather than simply endure consequences. Next, I was with Mr. Ruddy, and together we talked about his role in the school district as an overall crisis manager. He too has a difficult time planning out his day and keeps a detailed schedule in order to organize his time as efficiently as possible. He mentioned his interactions with parents and other teachers and how he tries to facilitate solutions to any problems they highlight. He expressed his inclination to special education and his advocacy for these programs throughout the school district. Together we visited a special ed room and saw the life skills they were practicing. The students were making pancakes and practiced socialization through conversation with me. Special education is a very important part of our school district, and it's amazing to see how these students learn to foster relationships with each other and other students around the school. Lastly, I followed Mr. Burns and had the opportunity to sit in on an executive director's meeting via Zoom. At this meeting, I was able to observe their discussions about spring sports and spectators. The different athletic directors have different situations in each of their communities, which results in different views and opinions. There was enthusiastic dialogue about more spectators and the opportunity for a more normal season. Near the end of my time in the meeting, the head director asked for my opinion as a student athlete. I was able to explain the importance of athletics on students and how as a senior I would do anything to see my friends play sports for the very last time. My placement with Mrs. Hurt began my rotation through people personnel services throughout the school district. With Mrs. Hurt, I was able to watch how she interacted with students and how she helped each person. I was able to assist in the revamping of the mental health resources on the school website, and I also helped with the organization of supplies as the office is being renovated next year and Mrs. Hurt is retiring. Being able to watch Mrs. Hurt gave me insight to what my future may look like in the medical field. I then shadowed Mrs. Stevens, Burton Street's speech pathologist. In the classroom, I was able to observe different types of activities participated in by each student. The games are tailored to each student and their educational needs, whether it's speech and certain sounds or social skills such as sentences and interaction with peers. There is a range of levels and behaviors, and it was interesting to see how Mrs. Stevens interacted with the students as they learned in groups. Mrs. Stevens promotes progression through a sticker chart that motivates each student to try their best each day. The classroom environment was judgment-free, and each student seemed comfortable practicing in a group with their peers. Finally, I spent a single day with Mrs. Link. I really enjoyed my time with her even though it was limited. During our time together, we discussed the importance of movement as it engages students and allows them to fully absorb their knowledge. Mrs. Link allowed me to attend one of her sessions with her students, and I watched the varying activities she did, such as catching and throwing a beach ball and drawing. I witnessed how some of the everyday tasks for most can be the most tolling for others. This experience really opened my eyes to my interest in physical therapy as it contributes to education. This has been an amazing experience for me during my final year in Cazenovia High School. This program has allowed me to get hands-on experience in a real work environment. I've been able to further connections throughout the high school, and I can confidently say there are many adults in the building that I've gotten to know that would be willing to help me in future endeavors. Many students in the district are unsure of what they'd like to do in the future, or maybe they are sure, and taking this class will assist them in securing their interest or discovering an unknown fascination. This class has been beneficial, and I'd recommend it to anyone who would want to take advantage of this opportunity. I feel more well-rounded and prepared for college and beyond. Thank you for taking the time to hear about my amazing experiences I had this year while working in the work-based learning internship program, and I look forward to seeing how the program develops. Have a great rest of your year.
But I went online for parts of the year, so it looks a little bit different, and I ended the year in a different way than Nina, so it's kind of a different experience. So I started with Nina with Miss Gilbert, and this was a really cool, first placement. I was able to retest a lot of students, which was really interesting to me, and that was something that I really loved to do. We did a lot of one-on-one work with students in the hallways and just kind of helped them if they needed extra support. And my bigger project for this placement was I actually took questions from their math unit and put them all together for a test for them to take later on in the year. Then we were in PE, which was one of my favorite placements. I thought this was so much fun. This is a little clip of a yoga video if you guys want to see it.
Hi, I'm Nina, and I'm here with my friend Ella, and my teacher, Mrs. New. So Ella and I are cycling to the middle school right now because we're in a class called Work-Based Learning Internship. And so we're...
It's like Nina doing... So basically for this, she kind of demonstrated that I did the voiceover.
We're not the best at telling you to get her head.
all the way up into... So we're going to end our class session with a pose or...
Okay, yeah, so that was really fun, and then, so we did that while we were remote, and then when we went back into the gym, we got to spend a little more time with the teachers, and we ended up, I think, just filming a soccer video in the gym, which was really funny and fun to do, so that was a lot of fun. And then I went to Miss Minor, and this was really interesting to me because this classroom, they kind of would finish back work or things that they needed more help on, in other classes, and they just worked on it in this class. So we did a lot of one-on-one work in the hallways with these tables, which is really cool. We could kind of teach them the ways that work best for us. And then again, we read tests and quizzes aloud to them, which was really good. And then I was remote for a little while for this placement, so she actually gave me a ton of material to do and put together a whole lesson for them, an activity to do, which was really interesting to me. So that was really cool to see behind the scenes. And then I was virtual December to whenever the marking period ended. So I started out in the education rotation, and I did find that really cool, but then I was also kind of realized I don't think that middle school level is something that I want to do in the future, and I was really set on that in the beginning of the year. So this was really cool for me to realize maybe not, let's try something else. So I did some interviews. I did 3 in my time, I did 3 in my time virtual. So I started out with a special education teacher because that's something I was very interested in as a younger kid. And I was I honestly think that this is something I really would want to do in my future. So I interviewed Thompson. She's a teacher at Payable, and it was so cool to see her insight, especially as a mental health counselor, and this is really cool because I knew that she was going back to school and starting to work again, but I had no idea what she was doing, and this is something that's growing so much right now with mental health awareness and everything. So I kind of got to hear her take on things, which is really interesting, and our conversations were like super open and honest with each other, and that was really cool. So she really feels like she like makes a difference in people's lives, which is something I really would like to do. So that's something I think that I'd be really interested in going into if special education is one of those, spoiler alert. And then I interviewed a human resource manager, and that was really cool because her job shifted so much with COVID. She would be in the office all day typically, and then she works from home, which is really cool because she works with people all around the world, especially in China. So instead of like staying at the office like super late at night, she would get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and do her interviews and Zooms then, which was really cool to see how her job shifted. So then I asked Mrs. New, I was like, I really had a good interview with this special ed teacher. I would really like to be placed to finish out my year in special ed. So she talked to Mr. Mascari, and I was able to really get a very, very great experience with him. So I started out just observing. I would go in and kind of walk around, get to know the kids, and my connections with these kids like grew so much throughout my time with them. Like I love them all, they're so great. So then eventually I started to teach the class. He gave me some freedom. I put together lessons about like health and wellness, stuff like that I'm really interested in. So that was so cool to be able to like stand up in front of a class and really teach them. And then our connections just grew so well. That was not my taught lesson. They were also supportive. They were great. And then just like outside of the classroom, like the connections I formed with like teachers like Mr. Mascari has been helping me so much with college stuff. Like he's the best. I'm like in his classroom every morning. Like he's helping me out and already. And these kids, like I've just gotten so close to them. Like at prom, I was like with them all. And at lunch, we'll like sit together, and they're just so great. So I really, really enjoyed my experience, and I think I was able to learn that like no, like I think that at least like middle school level, like I don't want to do it. Like it wasn't for me. And then I really think that I'll go and study special ed at St. Lawrence, and I'm so excited. It's so much fun, so much support in the whole system. Working with Mrs. New and everyone else was an experience I'll never forget. So it was great. Gave me a lot of clarity and everything. So thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
Okay, so I am Thompson, and I work with Neil Parker at Cazenovia Woodworks. This year has been filled with turmoil. When Mrs. Gilbert is learning class on how to actually find the fun in the year. Oh, sorry. And this is a video of me sharpening wood, which is something I don't do.
It's very hard to do this, right, Charlie?
Yes, it's very hard. It works your muscles in your arms a lot, particularly your shoulder muscles, which you would not expect from this butt.
You have to be very careful.
Yes, because that blade is actually really sharp. And this is me learning how to put wood through the planer, which is a machine that kind of takes all the extra wood off and makes the wood one solid, straight, smooth line. And this is me learning the dimensions for the illusion cutting boards, which are cutting boards that basically kind of look like an illusion.
And Neil's showing you about all the different kinds of wood.
Yes,
Why is it important to remember your dimensions all the time?
because if you forget the dimensions for something, you'll never be able to make it again. Unless somehow you miraculously find the same dimensions again.
Really good record keeping.
Yes. And this means when you can measure to make custom furniture. And this is me learning how to correctly handle a saw on a cutting board thing. quarter inch off of where you're looking for, because the saw takes off a quarter inch more than what it's supposed to. And with that, you have to be very, very certain before you make a cut. Oh, and this is just me and Neil
With a mustache.
with a mustache. Yes,
I think you guys had a lot of fun.
we did. And this me learning how important cleaning up can be in specific projects. It's important because if you put the finish on before you clean up, there's a chance the sawdust might get into the finish and make the product look kind of terrible. So, next to me in this picture is a huge wooden bowl for the farmer's market that we made.
Neil sells a lot. at the
Yes.
market.
And this is me learning how to cut my own cutting boards out of wood. And this is the video of me actually cutting wood. And this is a very hungry caterpillar, I suppose you, that I made. Well, I couldn't go to see Neil, so yeah, some of my own stuff's in here too.
So sometimes Charlie couldn't see Neil, so he would make things at home in his shop, or we would get together and work on his website, which you'll see. And he's made some really amazing things, and his website is coming soon, he's gonna be able to sell it all. I don't know if you guys realize, he won Shark Tank 2 years ago with his Chuck's Woodchuck, so he's been expanding ever since.
Yes. And these are two different ice cream scoops. One's a flat tip and one's a hawkbill. The hawkbill is kind of whippered along the handle. And the flat tip, I added a kind of place for you to put your fingers while you're scooping the ice cream. And this is one of the new pens I've made. It's a kaleidoscope pen. You look through the end of the pen, and you see a kaleidoscope.
That's awesome.
And this is basically what we have on the website so far. That is coming soon.
Okay, good job.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Good job, Charlie. Good job.
That's really cool, Charlie. So.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Natalie Garrow, and I was placed at the Upstate Clinic with Dr. Blakely. Some of the things that I did there was I ran blood work, I examined x-rays, observed and assisted during C-sections and other surgeries, administered vaccines, attended with front office tasks, computer systems, laser therapy, cleaned and sanitized, observed dental cleanings, and learned interpersonal skills with customers and all the obstacles and highlights of running a veterinary clinic. In the first picture, I am running a blood sample into the IDEX machine with the blood testing cartridges before one of the surgeries to make sure when giving the animal anesthesia, nothing goes wrong because there would be some complications. In the second picture, I'm filling out a prescription of Vector 3D, which is a topical for animals to deter fleas and ticks. And the third picture is just a picture of me, and this is new, preparing for surgery.
We got to go on a lot of surgeries. It was really cool.
The first picture, Chloe visited with me one day to see if she wanted to be placed her senior year at the Upstate Animal Clinic. So we're preparing for surgery with our masks and our surgical nets. And the second picture is the picture of the surgery room with all the equipment ready to go for the surgery. And the third picture is me preparing for another surgery, a different one. obviously I couldn't say everything that I did, but I had an awesome time there, and I hope that we get together next year and experience what I did, because it was amazing. And next year we're going to SUNY Maritime to study marine biology, so it's really cool.
Last but not least. From now.
Good job, Natalie.
My name is Frederick Hammond. I was placed at Cazenovia Equipment. I have a bunch of John Deere hats. My main contact was Eric Haas, who's the RTD manager. He works in with sensors and all the GPS. So on the first day, the guy got an orientation about the rundown works of how they run their company. I learned about the target market, all 9 different locations in central New York. I learned about all the equipment they have, every little thing that they sell. I know about that. All the farms that they sell to, they have mechanics, roadside technicians that transfer out over there. And all the different departments like HR, accounting, service, parks. I never got to go to HR and finance just because of COVID. Most of the office people work from home. I did get to go to accounting. I got to meet all my different coworkers.
You kind of like already worked there.
Yeah. So a big thing I had to learn on the orientation day was the types of tractors that they have. It's going to be seen right over on that bar picture. It says it's a 6250 R, and the 6 stands for the 6 series, which is the type of tractor it is. The 250 stands for 250 horsepower, and that's the specs of the engine. And the R stands for these little yellow things on top. These ones are the beacons, which are like hazard lights. But those are like sensors and they have 4G LTE. And I got to learn about all of this. So they're basically self-automated tractors that can do like everything. So when I have a combine, could drive up, be harvesting, and then have to unload their product and then their corn, silage, and whatnot. And then have the ability to take control of the tractor next to it. So it would perfectly like put the chute into the trailer.
There's a lot more merging between technology and agriculture is what we're learning, and it's amazing. Awesome.
And then with the sensor, there's sensors in the harvester that show all of the yield and placement of everything. If you want to, you can just press a button, sit back, and just have the harvester go, and all you have to do is just be in it and present in case any malfunctions happen. And then the database on John Deere's website allows you to see the different yields between different years, which spots in the field are better than others. Like the red areas are worse than the dark green areas are the best. That's pretty amazing that they have the ability to do that. And then, so for most of the year I was in the parts warehouse. I got to do orders, I got to learn about DICOM, which is the internal transferring system if they want to send a tractor to another location. And I got to learn about customers. I got to call some of them, tell them that their parts are in. I got to learn about UPS and doing shipments there. And then we had the inventory tracking system, which is when we get a shipment, we print out these little tickets, they're called ticket tickets. And then we scan it with a gun and tells us exactly where everything goes and all the racking, all the different drawers on the back side of the book. And it's important to have a tidy warehouse that I've learned so that if the mechanics need any parts, they can look up in the system where everything is. And then you can find it right then and there. And all the work orders, putting everything away. And then I also got to learn about sales merchandising. Certain exact reasons that like the littler kid toys are lower on shelves than the bigger kid toys. When you walk in the door, they have seasonal rotations. Like in bar photos, you can see that there's a little battery powered gator for kids. But now, since it's like around the mowing season, they have all lawnmowers of the latest and greatest there. I got to go to accounts payable. and that'll be an accounting, which will be my major in college, what I'm planning on going for, so it was really cool to see that. This is just a sample balance sheet, because all of their information is confidential since they're private. It was really cool to get to see all the things that they pay out to every company, all the bills, paying them. So I really enjoyed that. So then I got transferred to the service department. I had, in that top photo, I had Jesse Wood next to me, the BOCES intern from there, representing Kaz.
That was really cool. We didn't plan that. They just were at the same placement. So that worked out really, really well.
And in the bottom photo, I'm servicing the little lawnmower to be sold. Before every vehicle or every tractor vehicle goes out to anybody, they have to make sure that all the fuel, there's good fuel and it's not like rotten on that. And then they have to make sure that there's oil in it, that there's ATF fluid, which is transmission fluid. Make sure that the axles are all straight. Then more in the service department, I got to build a U-Connect system, which is you just drive over the mower deck, and then you flip a switch and it picks up the mower and attaches it all for you. You have the ease of that, and I got to build that from factory. We got a crane system and a pulley from the ceiling, which is used to lift heavy things like motors. Well, the service department taught me quite a bit, but I don't have much mechanical knowledge until then. So that's what I did through the year. I also got to drive a combine and a tractor.
He has a video.
It was really cool. I can speak for all my peers here when I say that I learned so much from this placement. It ensured that I'm well-rounded and I know for sure that I'm going for accounting in college. No question about that. And it was such a fantastic experience. I learned so much from it. Yeah, I can start my own business or accounting practice even. I can do all of that.
So next year we do have more placements, but thankfully COVID is lifting. We'll be at the police department. We'll be going back to more court switches. We're gonna keep growing. So honestly, thank you guys so much. Thank you. You guys are the best. And these guys are the best, so we appreciate all your time.
Mrs. New is the best. You know, I know Mrs. New doesn't toot her own horn, but she's done a ton of training, planning, getting
I got the
certified.
best placement, because I got to go to everybody's placement. So like,
But
I would
she's-
come in and be like, what, guess what we did this week? And they would be like, you got to go.
Well, she's been running around to make this program happen, so it's
So
just
I
really,
think
Mrs.
it's
New,
good.
big round of applause.
Thank you for coming, but I really did, I liked the vet placement. We had some obviously funny stories too throughout the placements in the year. We had a blast, so thank you guys.
That's
honestly.
great.